I got a feeling that tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. A feeling that tonight.
Good afternoon. Last week Steve was talking to you about service and about how summertime is a perfect time to serve. Well, we want to go back behind service, why we serve. But even before we get to that, I want to talk about who God is and understanding God. And, He's an all-powerful, all-loving, always existing. There's so many things that are always with God that are, all in one being. It's hard to understand. It's so abstract and beyond us. But he wanted to communicate in a very personal way, so he became man, or the Word become flesh, so that we could relate to him and understand him. But then he didn't stop there. That, today we celebrate the Feast of Corpus Christi, the body of Christ, when Jesus made bread into himself. The bread became flesh. That, Jesus in the Last Supper and every Mass makes himself present in the Eucharist. But then it's not over there, because each Mass ends with go in peace to love and serve the Lord. That our service, our love, our faith can be very abstract. It's just our beliefs, what we think. But it can't be just that. Faith without works is dead. We have to make it flesh. Our faith needs flesh. I want to share with you a story of a little girl, and how it was a late night, and her parents had just put her to bed, and one of those, horrible thunderstorms breaks out, where it's, thunder and lightning every few seconds, and it just broke out, and this little girl, she's maybe 5 or 6, Amy, jumps out of bed, and she runs down the hall to Mom and Dad's room, and she jumps on the bed and goes, "Mommy and Daddy, can I sleep with you?" And the dad, sits up in bed, and he says, "Amy, let's go back to your room. No, you can't sleep with us." And he guides her back, and he tucks her back in bed, and he says, "Amy, Jesus is with you. He'll protect you." And he gives her a little teddy bear, and she snuggles up with it and goes back to bed. But then one of those royal clashes of thunder breaks out, and she, jumps right out of that bed, and she runs down that hall, and she jumps on the bed again, and she goes, "Mommy and Daddy, can I sleep with you, please?" And the mom gets up this time and goes, "No, Amy, let me, Jesus is with you. He'll protect you. Don't worry." And so she guides her back to her room, and she tucks her back into bed and puts that teddy bear there and gets her a warm glass of milk, and, Amy slowly goes back to sleep. Well, then another royal thunderstorm, a thunder crack, breaks out, and Amy jumps out of that bed, and she runs down to Mommy and Daddy's room. She jumps on that bed a third time, and she goes, "Mommy and Daddy, I need Jesus with skin on." And so we need that faith to be made flesh. So that we need that Jesus with skin on to communicate to each other God's love and let Jesus work through us. Now let's listen to some thoughts of a few friends that we met on Gospel Roads Tampa, and their thoughts about service and how that is part of our faith.
This goes with Jesus' teachings with loving our neighbors as ourselves.
So on the planet, he said, "Feed my sheep." He didn't just say, "Preach to my sheep." He said, "Feed the sheep." So we have to do, that.
Jesus serves his Father by dying on the cross for mankind.
Serve, we really need a personal relationship with God, but that's not where it ends, and that really is the meaning of service. And if we're not stepping out of ourselves and showing that Jesus didn't just come for us, but for everyone, then we're kind of missing the point of our faith. And Jesus, the last thing he was seeking for himself only. He was selfless on the cross.
And at the end of each Mass, we're told to go and love and serve the Lord. So
when we're helping out the poor in the community, we see Jesus through them, and by doing that, we're helping Jesus.